It is a pleasure and an honor to be here and to represent Jesuit Refugee Service here in Bulgaria. My name is Florina Dragulin. I'm a refugee caseworker. This means that I work directly with refugees. They come to me every day. I have meetings with them, and I have to satisfy their needs in one way or another. I'm going to tell you a bit about our projects, about our integration projects, about our cooperation with other institutions in Romania in order to reach this integration, which is a term on which I think we do not find agreement, and there are hot debates on this. Nobody established a definition so far of the integration. I'm going to start by sharing a story with you. Given the conference topic and our concern on teaching human rights and teaching the value of fundamental liberties to both host societies and beneficiaries and institutions that are working with our beneficiaries. I'm going to tell you a story of how needed is this in Romania too. As I told you before, I work as a refugee caseworker on a project which aims at providing accommodation to refugees and beneficiaries of subsidiary protection. Every day I'm struggling to find apartments, to find houses, to convince, to persuade host society to receive these people in their homes, to consider them our equals, and to be part of our life. This is very complicated. Because due to the media, to the disinformation, people tend to believe these people are dangerous because they are coming from Middle East, or because they believe the Islam is a religion of conflict and so on. So working with these landlords every day, convincing them is very, very challenging. I want to tell you about a beneficiary of mine. It was a woman who had a little girl, children. I was supposed to find her a home somewhere in Bucharest, a one-room apartment, to accompany her to see the apartment, to establish the details about the rental agreement, and then to subsidize her rent and utilities costs. And I searched for a lot of apartments because she told me she doesn't have the money for the deposit. I think you know that it's customary. You pay a small deposit in the beginning and you get it back at the end of the contract. I struggled to find a house and a landlord who did not require this small deposit. And I found it. It was really nice. And I told her, look, we should go to see this apartment. I told her the area. And she told me, look, I don't know if it's okay if I'm saying this, but I don't really like that area because a lot of Roma people are living there. And this is the point of my story. People need this kind of information to be disseminated to them during the cultural orientation courses and sessions, because it's fundamental to teach them and to include them in a more inclusive society, not to perpetuate the same patterns to which Romanian society is accustomed to. So basically, you can say that this person was very well integrated into our society because she learned our values. She learned that we don't want to living nearby Roma people because we think they are thieves. We think they can steal our children and something like that. So this is why I'm trying to say that we really need this information to be disseminated and this culture of human rights to take roots into the Romanian society. In terms of integration, we all say it, that we see it two-folded. Like we want to see the willingness of our beneficiary to be included in our society, but we also struggle to convince the society to want these people to become us. Like in order to achieve integration, we think that it's a matter of people that would start to say it's not about them, but it's about us. So they are us, and when this starts to take place, their problems won't be their problems anymore, but ours. Their struggles in the new society won't be theirs, but would be all of our problems. Okay, going back to the projects, to the legislation, since 2004, we have a national law which established how the integration should place in Romania. And since then, we started to make integration programs for third country nationals and for beneficiaries of international protection that are coming to Romania. The integration programs are conducted and coordinated by the main institution that manages migration and asylum in Romania, which is a state institution. I told you before that it's called the General Inspectorate for Immigration. It's part of the Ministry of Interior. And their role is, on one hand, to resolve the asylum procedure, to accommodate these beneficiaries during the asylum procedure, and to coordinate the integration program. The General Inspectorate for Immigration is located in 6 parts of our country, in 6 local integration reception centers situated across our country near the borders. These centers, which are administered by the Inspectorate, are meant to accommodate asylum seekers during their procedure, but also to accommodate refugees during their integration program. The integration program is not mandatory in our country, but if you want to receive counseling, Romanian language classes, education for your cultural, historical, geographical things in our country, you need to register. Also, an important part of the willingness of our beneficiaries to register is that they receive a small amount of money every month, only if they are part of this integration program. The role of NGOs in this whole integration process is to offer expertise and to make sure that the counseling, the job seeking, the Romanian language are offered to our beneficiaries. The role of the main institution, the national one which coordinates the integration program, is to distribute responsibilities, to make sure that everybody is doing their job, and to offer places in which this integration can take place. They are called the regional integration centers. I'm going to talk a bit about my place project, which is which was included in the brochure. This is a bit about what we do, accept integration, what JRS is doing, access to territory, access to asylum procedure, reception, asylum procedure, integration, monitoring the detention conditions, monitoring the borders, assisting tolerated people. I'm not sure if some other countries have this legal status in their own countries, but we have it as an alternative to detention the Romanian state is offering to our beneficiary, and they are accommodated after they receive this tolerated status. They are accommodated by JRS, which administers a night shelter for tolerated persons. And of course, we do in partnership with the International Organization for Migration, voluntary repatriation. Okay, I'm going to talk a bit about my place project as it was included in the brochure. Just a second. My place was a project which was implemented in between 2013 and 2015 in Bucharest, Romania. It was implemented by JRS, and I will explain it to you later why I switched the slide, because that one on the slide is a different project, but with the same name. But it's very similar, but it's in other premise and in another city. Okay? So basically, my place was an integration program for third country nationals and for beneficiaries of international protection, implemented by JRS Romania into a multicultural center, which was built by us and developed by us in order to better satisfy the needs of our beneficiaries. The project was very, very large and very beautiful. Our beneficiaries are remembering it, are asking us about it. Why does my place not functioning anymore? It's supposed many activities, starting from social cultural activities, recreational activities, to educational and access to basic facilities, activities, and of course job seeking, which is very important. It was based on two focuses. The first one was to make them active citizens, active participants of the society. And this was undertaken through activities that aimed at a better access to provisions of the state, to institutions, to educations, to social services, to employment, to psychological counselor. So basically, we wanted to ensure that these people are autonomous and they can reach their full potential in this society. In order to achieve this, we had the support of a very, very active network of volunteers and of a very, very active network of churches. We are a Catholic organization. We are not Catholics, but we are a Catholic organization, and we have the support of the missionaries, of the sisters, of various Catholic organizations from our country. And this was very, very important to us. Also, except this access to basic service provision offered by the state, the second focus was social activities. In order to feel at home, you need to have a place where to laugh with somebody, to tell your stories to somebody, to feel like you are included in something. And my place was the best at doing this. Because a lot of people knew about this, a lot of volunteers came there, and it was like a community created, and they started to tell to other migrants, to other refugees, look, it's so nice here, you should come to us. We had intercultural nights, we had celebration of birthdays, we had cooking nights, football events, sport events. Also, the place was very interesting because we had some rooms, each of them designed for a specific type of action. For instance, we had the tea room. It was called like that it was in our office where we later on worked. And after the project ended, we used the same names we used to use during my place project. So the tea room was a place for socializing, for drinking tea, for playing social games, and so on. We also had the internet cafe, which was a room equipped with computers, and our beneficiaries could develop their IT skill, their computer typing, their opening an email account, and so on. They were helped to ensure these objectives by our network of volunteers. Also, we had a room specific for children. It was called the children's rooms, in order to ensure that mothers would participate to activities. We provided this kind of facilities for children in order to have them doing something useful and fun during the time where when adults were doing something else. So this was very, very useful. Okay, I'm going to move forward because I know the time is, the schedule is very tight. This new project, My Place, is taking place in different cities, not in Bucharest, but in Constanța and Galați. There are some cities near the seaside. And they are basically the same projects, but now they are implemented as a national integration program implemented by the main institution in migration and asylum field. So basically, we now cooperate more with the police, as you asked before, and it's conducted by our NGO, but is managed by the police. So it involves socio-cultural activities, trips to museums, trips to other parts of the country to learn some important castles or objectives that are important to our Romanian identity. Okay, I will speak a bit about another project, and then I will give the floor because I think it's time for me to do that. I'm going to speak about a new house project. I already told you a bit of information before. It's a project that aims at integrating the beneficiaries of international protection through avoiding the segregation into migrant neighborhoods, through avoiding their long stay into the reception centers, and through aiming at their insertion into the society. So basically, the project means that we, as refugee case workers, we accompany them, we find them appropriate accommodation according to their needs, according to what they want, but the condition is that we do not find them accommodation in a migrant neighborhood to which they belong. For instance, we do not send Syrians to a neighborhood which is populated only by Syrians, because we want to facilitate the integration of course, these ties and connections with your community are important, but as important is to create new communities with the host society. Okay, that would be it. Thank you so much.